Yes, sir. Okay. Mhm. Mhm. Home Rule 3.3, page number 24. The year 1916, no one asked you to obtain your rights by using the sword. Today, the nation's mind has undergone a change. India can give some help of England. If India be happy, England too will acquire a sort of glory, a sort of strength, and sort of greatness. This consciousness has been awakened in England. If no advantage is taken to think awakened consciousness at this time, such an opportunity will not occur again. The bureaucracy considers this to be bad. Who will be the loser in English? Not the emperor, but the bureaucracy. They therefore consider this thing to be bad, and they are non now telling us that we are not fit for Swaraj, and that therefore they have come here. As if there was no Swaraj anywhere in India when they were not here. We all were barbarian and ready to cut each other's throats. There was no system of administration under the Peshwa's regime. There was no system of administration under the Mohammedan regime. We were not able to carry on state administration. We were not able to not not able not able to construct roads. Page number 25. We did not know how the people might be happy. Nana Fadnavis was a fool, making Amber was a fool. Akbar and Aurangzeb were fools. Therefore, these people have come here for our good, and we are still children. Let us admit for a moment also that we are children. We are when we are when are we to become grown up? We want freedom. We must have in our hands the right of carrying our affairs. If you go not do not get these things, non-reformer, no reformer will be fruitful to you. That is the root of all reformer. Do you believe that the people who have come to rule over us are superior to us in intelligence and learning? Such is not my only own belief. We can show as much as learning, as much courage, as much ability as they. Perhaps they may not be apparent how, but they are in use. There are conjunctions in history as well as in astronomy. When the Mohammedan rule was declined, the Marathas had only recently resigned afterwards. The English having set foot in India, the whole power passed in their position and their power in cause of the admiration we were feel for them and pride to give true or false which we feel for their ability. Point 6, the duty on page number 25, the duty which you have in agitate so that this administration must change. The thing need not be changed unless the system, the agreement according to which the present administration is carried on in changed very every man in India will become more and more efficient. The duty which we have to perform is to stop that. Some people say, what does it matter if there is a slavery? Do not do they do they not give us to it? They do not strive anyone to death. Even the beasts and the birds get to eat. The get to eat is not the aim of man. To feed the family is not the end of man. Even a crow lives and eats offerings. A crow maintains itself. I do not consider it mainly manliness mercilessly to maintain oneself and fill the belly, to obey the commands of the administration, accepting the post which may be kept open within the limits laid down by it, and to maintain oneself according to its direction. The docile nature is common to beast and man. If there is required the quality of manhood in man, then one should see whether there is any scope for our intellect, our ability, our courage, and boldness. Such scope is not open in India, therefore. If we have any duty to perform, then the first duty is to take a portion of this authority into our position. Now we have to see, we have read 3.3 unit 2. Answer the following questions in one or two sentences. As per the main question, you have to see, this is the main question asked, given in the textbook, that you should follow the rules properly. When you are asked to answer only in one or two sentences, you have to give only that much only answer. So what awakening of consciousness does Tilak refer to? This is part 1. Now the answer you will search on page number 29. You will see page number 29. You will get the answer for that particular C. Check your progress 1. Only in 3 lines they have given the answers. The white officers, according to Tilak, are irresponsible and their admiration is unbearable. So if you go for the next question, you will see the next answer only in 2 to 3 lines. You have to see whether the answers are written in the during your exam point of view, they are right, or in one or two sentences. Okay. Now for further chapter unit, you have to go again for the page number 20. 25. 3.4 Home Rule, Unit 3, the year 1917. See the era, you will every time in every unit there is an year mentioned. You have to see in which year what had happened. So you have to mention the perfect year during the Home Rule, so that it will be more comfortable while writing the answers during your questions. Now, see, you have to keep it in mind, the year 1917. Those that hold power in their hands at present imagine that Indians are not capable of governing themselves to the limit extent implied by the World Home Rule. They do not tell Indians when they will be able to govern themselves. They do not fix any time limit. Once it is used to be said that aesthetic nations were not fit for self-government. That, however, in India, however, is not said now. They now say that India is not now fit or self-government. If Indians ask them why, they are told they are deficient in education. There are numerous castes quarreling among themselves, and only British administration can hold the balance even between rival section. Now further, in the same unit 8.8, what is unfitness? Do they mean to say that before the British came here, there were no peaceful rule anywhere in India? What was Akbar? Was he a bad ruler? No Englishman can say that. Then let them go back to Hindu rule. They were the emperors of Ashoka, the Guptas and the Rajputs, etc. No history could say that all these empires had managed their states without any system of administration. There were empires in India as big as the German Empire and the Italian Empire, and they have governed peacefully. When peace resigned in the country under the Hindu, Buddhist, and Mohammedan rulers, what ground is there to say that the descendants of those people who governed those empires are today unfit to exercise that right? There is no disqualification, intellectual or physical, which disable them from taking part in the government of any empire. They have shown their fitness in the past are prepared to show it today. If opportunity are granted to them, the charge of unfitness comes only from those who hold the monopoly of power in their hand. In every case of monopoly, that argument is used. The Indian East India Company used that argument. None of us whose ancestors founded and administered empires would subscribe to the doctrine and Indians, whether Hindus or Muslims, are incapable of governing themselves. The charges of incapacity is only brought forward by interested people because self-interested demands that some argument must be advanced in their support. We are now given higher posts to show our capacity. We are only given subordinate posts without the aid of Indians in the subordinate departments. It would be impossible for the British people to carry on the administration. And so we are giving all the subordinate posts. We have been fighting ever since the establishment of the Congress to break this monopoly, and not without success. A few posts reserved A few posts reserved for the civil services have been granted to us. A few appointments in the judicial department, high court judgeship, etc. have been granted to us. What is result? I have not been any resolution of government saying that when any post of responsibility is given to Indians, they have misused those opportunities, that they have failed to come up to the standard of efficiency required. One, on the contrary, revolution have been used saying Indians who have acted as members of executive councils have done their duty very well. If one went to Indian states, one would find that all higher posts are held by Indians. What do the British administration report says about these states? They say that they are well administered. So the whole evidence is in our favor. After bearing us from the higher services saying that we are not capable of governing in adding insult to injury. This kind of jugglery will not do. The British democracy will not tolerate it. If we simply press the right view of on the British public, they will hear it now because they are not succeeded in this world unless backed up by the persistent agitation and a fixed determination to attain that truth. We must be determined to see that truth triumph, and that triumph is what we mean to achieve. The home rule agitation is intended for that purpose. Whatever be that be, one thing is certain that the work before us is not easy. Tremendous sacrifice will be necessary. Nay, we shall have to tide over it. There are two ways of dying, one constitutional and the other unconstitutional, as our fight is going to be constitutional and legal. Our death also must, as on necessity, be constitutional and legal. We have not to use any violence. Nay, we condemn the unconstitutional way of doing. As our fight must be constitutional, it must be courageous also. We ought to tell government courageously and without the least fear what we want. Let government now know that the whole nation wants home rule as defined by the Congress. Let there be no shirking or wearing the shaking. I said that it was our right to have home rule, but that is a historical and a European way of putting it. I go further and say that it is our dharma. You cannot separate home rule from us, as you cannot separate the quality of heat from fire. Both are inseparable, bound up. Let your ideas be clear. Let your motives be honest. Let your efforts be strictly constitutional, and I am sure your efforts are bounded to be crowned with success. Never disappear. Be bold and fearless, and be sure that God is with you. Remember, God helps those who help themselves. See, again, for your progress point of view, for your exam point of view, there are some questions again given. What was the prejudice about the aesthetic nation in the minds of the white officer? So again, if you go to page number, and in time being, see the difficult words and phrases are also given in the columns in the same page. You can look for the same meaning for that, and directly you can go to page number 29 and check your progress. See, they have given on page number 29, 3.7. You have to continue further. The white officers thought that the Asian nations were not fit to have self-government. See, the answer is given in very short in one sentence. So you have to answer it only that much during your examination in exam point of view. Okay. So in the same pattern, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 answers are given. You have to answer them properly. You have to by them during your examination. Now, Further, if you see, mostly you have finished the main part. Now, critical contemporary, if they are asked, you have to read them, you have to know it. What is the critical contemporary? Tilak Force here is a model of politician argument. See, if you see it, read his contemporary, you have to know what has happened in the whole chapter as we have come to know. It has been given in points. You will come across the whole story points in these 2 3 points. Defend himself against the charge of inciting violent rebellion. Present his idea of home rule clearly before the Indian people and the British bureaucracy, and advise the Indian about how to carry on the non-violent and constitutional agitation for the home rule. Okay, this is a very logical in this argument. He first states however there is a dissatisfaction against the British rule class among all the thoughtful Indians. Then he hints that the anger of some Indians may cross the boiling point. He cannot be responsible for it. He is also very persuasive. He says that the charge against him and are nasty and founded. He is only demanding reformers in the administration. He is not against the king administration. He is not against the king. Then he condemns the act of violence in very clear manner. He gives credit to the British rule for making India one nation. See the contemporary, you will understand whatever I have read in the chapter, in the unit home rule is been given in very short. So you have to read this for your own. So you will come to know what is the exact idea in short they have given. It's a contemporary, you have to see it. Okay. Now, for the further this thing, home rule, the same thing. This is given. The summary. What is the summary of the home rule? You have to at least know the summary of the story we have about the home rule. Home rule is a government run by the people of the country, self-government. Tilak complains that the white officials in India are irresponsible and their rule has become unbearable to people. So the Indian must be allowed to run their own country. He does not believe that petition and applications of request will change these white officers. There is a movement of peaceful opposition to these white officers, but people are so angry that a few of them may take the path of violence. Okay, see again they have mentioned the in the summary. Now we will see. You can read further your summaries so that you can get the summary thorough in your mind. He is angry that the actions are writing are reported as incitement to the Indian to do violence, but he wants to change only the administration. He does not wish to overthrow the British government. Like the Irish people, he wants home rule for Indians. He agrees that the British rule has benefited the Indians. They have brought efficient civil administration and have turned Indian into one nation. He tells Indians that in the crisis of war, India has realized how India has been helpful. The government in English is now sympathetic with the Indian demand of self-government. So Indian demand of self-government, so the Indians need not use violence. He points out that only the bureaucracy, the white official are against the Indian demand of home rule. They have a selfish interest They say that the Indians are not fit to govern themselves because they are not not educated, and there are many castes and creeds quarreling among themselves. But Tilak argues that there were great empires of Hindus and Muslims in India before the British came, and these empires had wise administrators. He complains that the British do not give higher posts to Indian and yet say that we cannot govern. He points out that the Indian states are very well managed by the Indians. The arguments of British official is only jugglery. So he advises the Indians to be bold and fearless in their efforts. He tells them to use only legal and constitutional means for their agitation. He clearly condemns violent acts. Before such acts only check the politician progress of the Indian. See, we have finished the summary I have read for you. So in point number 3.9 exercise, answer the following questions in about 100 to 150 words. This is compulsory question asked during your examination point of view. Uh, According to, you have to at least complete your supplement within 3 to 4 pages. You will need to complete the answer as much as according to your handwriting. It may require one full supplement also, or you can manage the supplements during your examination. So only 5 questions are there. What nasty and unfounded charges were leveled against Tilak by the English press? How did Tilak defend himself? See, you can find them, the whole summary. What is the home rule? What did Tilak want the Indian to agitate for it? What reason did British official give for not granting self-government to Indians? What were the two groups among the Indians politicians at that time? What were Indian opinions about the home rule movement? Write a note on Tilak's prose style. See what we have read up till now. We have completed this part. So you have to find the whole, read the book again, and so that will be helpful for you, and you will see the answers in the given lesson. So now for unit 4, non-violence, page number 31, and unit number 4, non-alignment, written by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So in content, what they have given, the objectives, introduction, non-violence and non-alignment 1, alignment 2, alignment 3, and alignment 4. Difficult words and phrases, critical contemporary is necessary. Answer to check your progress as we have seen in the previous lesson. So in same way, you have to know the content, summary, exercise, and further reading. So reading part is much necessary in every chapter. You have to thorough it. So objectives, what is the objective in this? You have to know it. After completing the study of the unit, you will know the briefly about Jawaharlal Nehru as a writer. Okay. Now see the introduction part. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in 1889, page number 31, 1964. See the year they have mentioned, which is necessary part, which will help you during your examination. At least when you write the year properly, at least you will be getting more marks during your exam point of view. If your answer, if you mention the exact era, okay, was the only son of Pandit Motilal Nehru, who was the leader of the Bar Council of Allahabad. Jawaharlal was educated at Harrow and Cambridge in England, and he was supposed to become a barrister, but he was more attached by politics than by law. He also became a member of All India Congress Committee. He become he came under the influence of Mahatma Gandhi and he became a devotee follower. Means he was follower of Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He became president of India, Indian National Congress more than once, was sent to prison many times for taking part in political movements. When India got independence in 1947, he became the first Prime Minister of India and remained in that position until his death in 1964. He was the architect of modern India. He is the international field. He was greatly admired as a far-sighted statesman and advocate of peace. He was also a distinguished writer. His writings, autobiography, glimpse of world history, Soviet Russia, glimpse of world history, and the discovery of India, and won international fame. As a politician, he did not think merely of India, but other countries, especially Afro-Asian countries in the world. The speech, which is given here as the text, shown how he had thought deeply of world peace and the present international problems. Non-violence and non-alignment point part 1. See, Mr. President, I am deeply grateful this, page number 31. Great university to you. Sir, for the honor you have done me in inviting me today and in conferring the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws. It is an honor to be associated within us, university, and with the many men of learning and seekers after truth assembled here, and I shall treasure it. To have that single honor confirmed upon me by one who has played such a distinguished part in both war and peace added to its value. I have come to know so much in my capacity as Prime Minister of great country, or as a politician, but rather as a great country or as a politician, but rather as a humble seeker after truth and as one who has continuously struggled to find a way, not always with success, to fit action to the object and ideal, and I have held the process in always difficult but become increasingly so it in this world, the conflict and the passion today. Politicians have to deal with day-to-day problems and they seek immediate remedies. Philosophers think to ultimate objectives and are apt to lose touch with the day-to-day work and its problems. Neither approach appear to be adequate by itself. It is possible to combine these two approaches and functions after the manner of Plato's philosopher king. You, sir, have had the experience of the role of a great man of action and also of that of a philosopher as the head of this university and should be able to help us to answer this question. In this world of insistent and feverish, active men have little time to think and much less to consider ideal and objective. Yet how are very wet to how we are act to even in the recent unless we know which are going and out our objectives are. It is only in the peaceful atmosphere of a university that These problems cannot be adequately considered. It is only when the young men and women who are in the university today and on whom the burden of life's problems will fall tomorrow learn how to clear objectives and standards of value that there is any hope for the next generation. The past generation produced some great men, but as a generation, it led the world repeatedly to disasters. Two world wars are the price that they have been paid for the lack of wisdom on man's part in his generation. It is a terrible price that the tragedy of it is that even after that price was paid, we have not purchased real peace nor a cessation of conflict and an even deeper tragedy. In that mankind does not profit by its experience and continues the same way which had led previously to disasters. We have had wars and we have had a victory. Yet, page number 32. What is a victory and how do we measure it? A war is fought unusually to gain certain objectives. The defeat of enemy is not to be in itself an objective, but rather the removal of an obstruction towards the attainment of the objective. If that objective is not attained, then that victory over the enemy brings only negative relief and indeed is no real victory. We have seen, however, that the aim in war is almost entirely to defeat the enemy and that the other of real objective is often forgotten. The result has been that the victory attained by defending the enemy has only been a very partial one or one and has not solved the real problem or fit it as it has solved the immediate problem. It has at that same time given rise to many other and sometimes worse problems. Therefore, it becomes very necessary to have the real objectives clear in our mind at all times, whether in war or itself, and always to aim at achieving that objective. I think also that there is also a close and intimate relationship between the great we aim at the mean adopted to attain it. Even if the end is right, but the mean is wrong, that will we take, we take the end and divert it into a wrong direction. Means and ends are thus immediately and executably connected and cannot be separated. That indeed has been the less thoughtful us by great men in the past, but unfortunately it is seldom remembered. So we have to see further, check your progress one, answer the following question, one or two sentences. According to Nehru, who can govern the state properly? So if you will look to the page number further, if we will go and see the page number 39, you will see that Nehru says answer 4.8 on page number 39. You will see Nehru says that only a philosopher king can govern the state satisfactorily. So according to the questions given in the same, to check your progress, answers are given. Politicians look for quick remedies for day-to-day problems, and philosopher thinks of ultimate solution, ignoring the day-to-day problems. As a result, both cannot work satisfactorily. Now answer 3 they have given. You can look for the question and I will go through the answer. Nehru expects young students from the university to think over the problem of satisfactory form of government, how to combine a politician and philosopher. See the question number 4. The past generation of politician brought the disaster of two world war in which thousands of people were killed. Nehru says war. See question number 5. What according to Nehru? Nehru says wars are really fought for some objectives, but in the modern wars, objectives are forgotten and only victory over the enemy remains important. See the question number 6. Again, I will read the answer for you. If objective is not realized, the victory is only a partial victory. It brings negative relief. Now, question number 7. I will read the answer for you. The ends and means are closely related, right, and requires the right means. See, according to the question, they have answered only in one sentence. Mostly, you will see only one sentence is been given in each answer. So that much only answer is required for the in exam point of view. So we will go back again to the page number point according to the unit. Non-violence 4.3 and non-alignment. I am venturing to page number 33, 4.3, non-violence and non-alignment 2. 8. I am venturing the place come of these ideas before you, not because they are novel, but because they have impressed themselves upon me in the current course of my life, such as been spent in altering periods of insistent activity and conflicts and enforced leisure. The great leader of my country, Mahatma Gandhi, undertook, under whose inspiration and sheltering care I grew up, always laid stress on moral values and warned us never to subordinate means to ends who are not worthy of him, and yet to the best of our ability. We try to follow his teachings, even the limited extent to which we cannot follow his teachings, yielding rich results after a generation of intense struggle with a great and powerful nation. We achieved success, and perhaps the most significant part of those achievements for which credit is due to both parties. What the manner of it? History hardly affords a parallel to this solution of such a conflict in a peaceful way, followed by friendly and cooperative relation. It is astonishing how rapidly bitterness and will, ill will between the nations have faded away and given place to cooperate, and we in India have decided of our own free will to continue this cooperation as an independent nation. I would not pursue presume to offer advice to other and more experienced nations in any way. But may I suggest for your consideration that there is some lesson in India's peaceful evolution which might be applied to the greater problems before the world. The evolution demonstrates to us that physical force need to necessarily be the arbiters of man's destiny, and that the method of wagging a struggle and the way of its terminating are of paramount importance. Past history shows us the important part that physical force has played, but it is also shown us that no such force can ultimately ignore the moral forces of the world. And if it attempts to do so, it does not go its freely. Today, the problem faces us in all instant intensity because the weapon that physically forces has at its disposal are trivial to contempt. Primitive means the old age, barbarism only in the destructive efficiency of the weapons that man's ingenuity has invented for a man's destruction. Primitive means very old age, when man did not have any uh, invention. What are very simple things he didn't understand. Further, I do believe, in accordance with my master teaching, that there is another way to meet this situation that faces us. I realize that a statements or a man who has to deal with public affairs cannot ignore realities and cannot act in terms as abstract truth. His activity is always limited by the degree of respective of the truth by his fellow men. Nevertheless, the basic truth remains and it always to be kept in view, and so far as possible, it should guide our actions. Otherwise, we get caught up in vicious circle of evil when one evil action leads to another. India is a very old country with a great past, but it is a new country also. This new urges and desires since August 1947. She has been in a position to pursue her own foreign policy. She has limited by the realities of the situations which he could not ignore or overcome. But even so, he could not forget the less or her great leader. She has tried adapt, however, imperfectly theory to reality in no far as she could. In the family of nations, he should he was a newcomer and could not influence them greatly to begin with, but he had a certain weightage. She had great political resource, but not doubt would increase powerful of influence. A greater advantage lay in the fact that she was not perturbed by the past by old enmities or old ties by historic claims or traditional rivalries. Even against the former ruler, then there was no bitterness left. Thus, India came into the family of nations with no prejudice or enmities, ready to welcome and to be welcomed. Even inevitably, she had to consider her foreign policy in terms of allied enlightened subtle self-interest, but, but at same time she fought to it to a, it a touch for idealism. Thus, she has tried to combine idealism with national interest. The main objective of that policy are the pursuit of peace, not through alignment with any major power or group of powers, but through an independent approach to each conversational or dispute issue. The liberation of such people, the maintenance of freedom, both national and individual, the elimination of radical discrimination and the element of want, disease and ignorance which afflict the greater part of the world population. I am asked frequently why India does not align herself with any particular nation or group of nations, and told that because he have friend, he refrained from doing so. He we are sitting on the fence. The question and the committee comment are easily understandable because it in times of crisis it is not unnatural for those who are involved in it deeply to regret calm of objective in others as may other man irresponsible short-sightedness negative. We will stop here for today.
एक मिनिट